The most important meal of the day, second breakfast.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another Second Breakfast podcast. I'm Andy Roth alongside Phil Duvall. Say hi, Phil.
Hi, Phil.
No.
It's been so long since I've done that.
That's true. That's
you
true.
know, Andy. You know what? Another thing it's been so long since I've done is
What is that?
dated. I've been married for 7 years, and I met my now wife 9 years ago. You haven't dated in several years, and before this thing began, we were because you're with a girl. I mean, you can say you date her, but that's a lie. It's you cohabitate.
That's true.
Dating is done. Well, no, and no, I mean you brought something up right before we started recording, but I think people need to hear this.
Like ladies,
sad.
we're off the market. That's what they need to hear. Or
First of all, ladies, we are off the market. But
true.
Secondly, and by the way, gentlemen.
That's right.
Gentlemen, to be fair, gentlemen, we were never actually on your market, but would have been flattered.
Extraordinarily so. Yes.
Grateful for any attention, hetero, homo attention, all good attention for me. Which brings me to my next point.
Okay.
Which is that you and I got out of the game right before the world turned into a place where you could pick up your phone, look at a picture of a person, and swipe in a direction, and that would mean that you wanted to go out with them. Like we missed it, Andy. We missed swiping right as a way of asking a person on a date.
I have two things to say.
Okay.
One, thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God. Two, that is the most euphemistic use of go on a date with that I have ever heard in my entire life.
Don't some people actually use it for not just doing it?
I mean, sure, I imagine.
I know I would have tried because I was always that weird, overly moralistic, idealistic, romantic.
Also, I feel compelled to remind you at this point, and I suppose to tell our listeners and viewers that this is absolutely like two grandfathers talking about Xbox One. Like, don't some people use it for actual dating?
I mean, you could talk to me. It would just be like me talking about Xbox One, to be completely honest with you.
That's fair.
I had a PS2, but there's so many knobs now and devices and finger things on the hand control for the Sony PS5. Here's the thing. With one more thing, and then we got to talk about Star Wars in a major way.
Mm-hmm. Tell me that.
But I just want to say two things. One is I'm not sure I don't regret it because I feel like it seems like such a fearless way to go through life. Anonymously swiping yes and no about people just seems so fearless and knee jerk and stupid that it just sounds like it's right in my wheelhouse.
I don't think anything is fearless.
Fearless, knee jerk, and stupid.
I don't feel anything is fearless about anonymity in dating. Go ahead.
Okay, so that's uno, and dos is that I realize that I'm the kind of guy because I would go through and I would swipe right on like very few, and then I know me, I'd go back like an hour later. And then swipe right on a bunch of other ones that I passed over the first time. And then like the next day when no one had swiped back, I'd be like, well, let's give this another pass. Like in Memphis Belle when they missed the bombing site the first time and they have to go around. And they missed it a second time and they were pressing our luck now. Like that's me in online dating. So I guess what I'm saying is, let's get back to the original point. Thank God I'm off the market.
Wow. Well, the obligatory Memphis Belle allusion has been made in this...
Gosh and golly, I'm realizing another thing, and we're going to have to do a whole episode on this, Andy, which is that my dad used to sit around and watch, like, garbage movies from, like, the 40s and 50s. Andy, garbage movies from the 40s and 50s.
Sure.
And I'd be like, what the hell is his problem?
Right.
And then the other day, I sat transfixed watching the last half hour of Honeymoon in Vegas. And which I will defend that movie to this day. I will defend that movie,
sure.
and all aspects of it. But
sure.
I cannot wait till I am old enough to sit around and watch garbage movies of the 80s and 90s with absolutely zero regret and zero concern about how much my twilight years I'm wasting.
You know what I'm about to say, right?
Your only hope is that you and I live next door to each other?
Okay, I have a second thing to say.
Okay.
You're that old now, man. Live
No,
your
I'm
life,
not.
dude.
No,
Yes,
no, I'm
you
not.
are.
Because because here's the deal. Right now, every single solitary free moment I can have to do anything because
Mhm.
of my work and my children,
Mhm.
I'm just like, I can't even, my eyes are glazed over and I hope something good will happen ever. But like, when you get to like the 50s, the 40s and 50s, especially the 50s, your kids
We're
are
not that
like,
far away. We're not that far away from
we're
the
not,
40s.
we're not,
Mhm.
but when you, especially when you get to the 50s
Mhm.
and you have kids that are now old enough to roll their eyes at you and go, oh, God, Dad. Like,
Right.
that's when you've gotten there.
When you're old enough to be like, no, we could totally hang out. I'm just sitting here watching just one of the guys. You know? Oh, I'm watching.
Give inner space. They're showing Inner Space right now on Encore a bunch of times, and it's just I can't. The 80s.
You know, I had the opportunity to purchase the Blu-ray of Inner Space for like $9.
Was too much for that movie.
Is it?
Yeah, I think it is. I think if you could buy the Blu-ray for $4, that would be. I think
I,
five tops. Five tops.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I remember loving it. Robert
no,
Picardo.
but did you buy it?
Robert,
Did you buy it for? Did you buy it for
I
9?
didn't. I went with Dazed and Confused for 7 because that's an actual steal.
I feel like you proved your own point.
If my
I do.
point is
I'm
I
not
wish I had
being
won the
snarky.
lottery so I could buy everything, then yes, that is the point I proved.
If the difference between if Andy, if when you win the lottery, the first thing you do is buy Inner Space Blu-ray $9, you and I are gonna have to have a serious conversation.
Well, now it has to happen. now
Well, I
it
hope
has
you win
to
the
happen.
lottery. I hope you win the lottery, and I hope you have some charitable deductions you need to make because my church needs all the help it can get. So, let's talk about the most popular religious movement of the last 50 years,
Yeah.
and that's Star Wars.
Just ahead of Scientology. Yes.
Oh golly!
Yes.
Way
So,
more people like Star Wars than Scientology, FYI.
way more Scientologists like Star Wars than Scientology.
I think they got into Scientology thinking it was Star Wars, and then we're like,
Right.
this
There's
severe-
this book with like asteroids on it. Yes.
right.
Yeah. So
Right.
folks,
So, okay, we've already done an episode, a spoiler-free episode of Star Wars. So,
Yeah,
so
we've
what
already
we're about to
done-
do now is just really talk about things with no filter.
right, we've already done our no spoiler podcast. You go ahead and check it out, guys. It's our last show. If you haven't already, and what the hell is wrong with you if you haven't?
But seriously,
Yeah, right. So yeah, go check that out. And now, if you are one of the 3 remaining people on this continent who have not seen Star Wars, we're about to talk about everything that happens in a real way.
that's right.
So
That's right.
So not our fault if you get spoiled at this point.
Tons of spoilers here, people. We're just going to talk.
Yep.
I'm actually glad we've had some time to breathe since we've seen it, because if we had tried to do this episode the day we saw it, it would just be a lot of like sighing and squealing and maybe some dry heaving.
Yeah, a little bit of
So I
grunting. Yeah.
It wouldn't. I mean, I don't know. We're gonna get. I mean, we're only gonna get about a half step better than that, but
That's true.
nevertheless, where do we? I mean, honestly, Andy, like, where do you want to start here? Where do you want to start with? Like, what do you want to say? Spoiler language abounding. What do you want to say about?
Here's where I want to start. Here's what I am 100% here's what I could not be less interested in doing. Okay? Both in this podcast and in my life.
Please.
Ranking Star Wars movies. Even the
Oh.
ones I like. Couldn't be less interested. Empire is your favorite, and everything else is garbage, or everything else, and everyone who disagrees with you is an idiot. Fine, awesome, you be you. I have a bigger heart than that, and I
I like when you called everybody that was not you terrible. I love that so much.
Well, I mean,
Listen, I agree with you. First of all, everybody that isn't you is terrible. And secondly, again, I mean, it's funny. I want to bring up again the fact that I have a friend who basically was like, I wish you guys argued more because it's more fun when you disagree. And I get that, like, that kind of tension. It's fun to watch Michael Wilbon and Tony Kornheiser call each other idiots.
Mhm.
It is because they can clearly love each other.
Yep.
And you and I do clearly love each other, but I think our love is too fragile for any kind of real disagreement. And the thing is, we keep agreeing anyway. It's like we do agree naturally about a lot of things.
I'm not going to disagree with you. I'm not going to disagree with you for show. I have no interest in doing.
Well, the other thing is, look, you and I do this show for the same reason we always have done it, which is we wanted to recreate sitting in our dorm hallway at 2 a.m. in college, talking about the crap we love, and just being goofy about it together. And we could disagree or not disagree, but we have no idea how that's going to come down. And frankly, we agree far more often than we disagree.
That's true.
And if people want to hear people argue, there's plenty of shows to listen to.
True.
We do come at it, I think, with different perspectives, but I agree with you here. I'm not interested in ranking. I just finished watching Empire Strikes Back today with my 5-year-old daughter on Laserdisc. That's right. And so she doesn't have to watch any of the BS remaster nonsense, and she can just watch it as is. And we watched it, and I'm going, okay, like, I get it. I get why people think Empire's the best in certain respects. I also like things like endings. So,
right.
Problematic for people who call Empire Strikes Back the best, but that's okay. But anyways, you're right. I don't. We're not about ranking this new episode.
So that's just sort of the preliminary thing that I want to say, because here's where I want to start. I want to start with all of the BS comparisons, and that's not to say that they don't. I'll just say it and then I'll go back. That I want to start with the people who their one complaint, which completely prevents them from enjoying this movie, which drives me crazy, is that it's exactly like Episode 4. It's exactly like A New Hope. And it's like,
Right.
First off, look, you're just wrong about the beards. It's not.
You're just wrong about the beards.
You're just wrong
Which
about
is
the
to
beards.
say, for those who are uninitiated, you're just missing the point completely here.
You're missing the point. And you're missing the point twice. Because, first off, it doesn't matter if it's exactly the same. Because what this movie had to do, part of it, not all of it, but part of it was fan service. It just was. As we talked about...
and even the language of fan service, let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
That's a relatively new term, and I think it's kind of a nonsense term.
I agree.
First of all sequels are fan service by definition.
Yep.
And frankly, all movies hope to create a fan base.
Yep.
All movies.
Yep.
All movies want fans. They want to tell a story that people will enjoy. All movies want that.
Yes.
Period. Anyone who makes a movie wants people to like it, wants to have fans. And it's like the language around fan service suggests that suggests a sort of exploitative attitude.
Yes.
And a sort of attitude of well, whatever it takes to make these people happy, these salivating idiots. And
right.
And what I saw here was what I saw there. By even those definitions, I will acknowledge that there are moments I think of that. I will admit that, and we can talk about which ones.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, I think you said it. The people who made this movie, we'll just say J.J. Abrams, even though we know it was a team. Okay,
yeah.
J.J. Abrams, and like in a legal document, all the people who made this movie from here on out will just be referred to as J.J. Abrams.
Well done, counselor.
Even though I mean all the people. Yep. That's my legalese. I just lawyered the lawyer. That J.J. Abrams understood that a couple things. One, he needed to make sure people knew that it was a Star Wars movie.
Yep.
Or that he knew.
Right. Right.
But the second thing is, and I think we touched on that a little bit in the last episode. But I think the second thing is, like, I first of all, none of the themes were original when they were done when Lucas did them in Star Wars.
Mm-hmm. Hero's Journey, Joseph Campbell, blah blah blah.
Right, it's all the one, two. Like, it's just perfectly acceptable to me to have moments that are supposed to remind you of something.
Yeah.
Like okay, so for instance, I mean, I don't know. So the most controversial one would be Kylo Ren killing Harrison Ford or killing Han Solo on the bridge.
Mhm.
That's the most controversial, I think. In it now, a couple things. One is they're meeting on the enemy territory that they're trying to escape.
Mm-hmm.
They walk out in the middle of an area that people can see. It happens to be a bridge. They're being viewed from the ones who love them. And I just watched A New Hope recently, and so Obi-Wan is in plain view of Luke
Sure.
Skywalker when he's fighting Darth Vader.
Uh-huh.
And so we have that, and here Han Solo is in plain view of Rey when he's meeting with his son.
Mm-hmm.
So we know I would even say when he walks out on that bridge, I was like, oh, Han Solo is about to die.
Yeah, sure.
I did.
Yeah.
Solo's about to die. It didn't make his death any less poignant to me. At all.
I'm 100% in agreement with you.
And I guess what I'm saying is, why should it? But what do you think, Andy? I mean, look, you do acknowledge that, like, it's not a remake or a point-for-point remake, but it does have a stunning amount of similarities to the first movie.
Yes.
Structurally, thematically, not just... It doesn't just... Because I've now seen it 4 times. And
Sure.
it doesn't just inhabit the same world. It does, to a large degree, retell the same story.
Just to be clear, I'm jealous of you because I've only seen it 3 times. Go ahead.
You should be. I will see it a 5th time this week.
Well played.
Okay, so no, that's all I want to say. I mean, you say it's all BS, but I mean, I guess I would say, is it? I mean, look, man. There's a whole lot of thematic and structural similarity to A New Hope.
Yeah. So here, let me clarify what I mean when I say it's BS. I don't mean, yes, there are similarities, and look, everyone is a unique and special snowflake, and everyone's opinion is valid, and that's fine.
Go ahead.
Sure, but what I mean is this: the inability to let yourself enjoy this movie because you think it is nothing but fan service. That is what I say is BS. I decided to go on safari into the wild, the hinterlands of the human psyche. I read the comments section of a movie website today, and everyone was like, I know, I'm an idiot. Look,
You really are.
You don't have to tell me this. And they were like, and the complaint du jour was not actually just the fan service bit, or it's a beat for beat remake, which no, it really isn't. But the other main complaint was, like, when they used the Starkiller base, did they just blow up the entire Republic? That doesn't make any sense. They only blew up like 5 planets. And first off, like, I know we live in a world with a lot more terrorism than the late 70s, but just blew up 5 planets is kind of a crazy thing.
It is.
Also, after the prequels, are we really upset that this movie didn't go further into the political structure of the galaxy? Like, is that the complaint we want to make, guys? So, but that is a bit beside the point. You know, it's not useful to sit here and say, is or isn't it a beat for beat remake, or are the characters, like, you can, because you're going to see what you want to see. But I look at Darth Vader, who is not just an iconic villain, very possibly the iconic movie villain.
Yep.
Terrifying and powerful, and yet strangely awesome. Like, who our age didn't force choke somebody? Right? Like, who didn't? Everybody did. And yet, as a movie character, there's almost no argument that Kylo Ren is a more interesting and layered character.
Yep.
There's almost no argument, right?
I know. No, I agree. Especially having watched the old ones. Here's another thing that I don't think people realize. So I was talking to someone who was really excited about seeing it, and then he was one of these guys who saw it and said, "Oh, it was the same old movie," and
Mhm.
it was just and he said it was a spiritually shallow movie. Dude, as a religious person who is really big into myth, really big into storytelling in that sense, watching the originals, man, we have read a lot into those over the last 30 years. It is a very thin mythology.
Yes, yes.
It is. I mean, it is basing itself in a universal, monomyth. That has been, as our friend Jeremy pointed out, like basically developed over thousands of years and sort of codified in different religious traditions. But the actual telling of the story of the Force and the actual portrayal of the religious or spiritual aspects of it is so paper thin.
Yeah.
And that's fine
It's
with
not
me.
a complaint. It's not.
But I would say that this movie is not shallow in that respect by any stretch of the imagination. And if anything, it's the first movie where you see out loud the idea that someone could be in the dark side and tempted towards the light.
Yes.
I mean, we see that happen in that moment with Darth Vader, but like where he kills the Emperor, and then Jedi, but then I don't know, like it's developed there in that moment that it's a possibility, but it's his son, and there's this whole thing like it's just over, and then you don't really get time to reflect on it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the end result. Mm-hmm. But here we have that conflict at the beginning of a character.
Yes. Yes.
And that's fascinating to me. Really fascinating.
Can I tell you something that I hope, and I won't be like devastated.
I'm with you, by the way. Not Kylo Ren is, and we're gonna do a whole episode just on Kylo Ren. Everybody, we're gonna do a whole episode. We're gonna do character episodes.
Yeah, we're gonna break down this movie because there's a lot to say about a lot.
And we love it, and you all love it, and there's no reason not to. But I just want to say that Kylo, I'm with you, that Kylo Ren is easily one of the most interesting and layered bad guys we've seen in one of these movies. And I want to know, I mean, just straight up character. I want to know more about him, and I think Adam Driver does brilliant work in this movie.
Yeah, the way he's like when he's trying to get inside Rey's head, and he's like, it's okay, I feel it too, right? And it's just like I don't even like. I have thought that he meant something different each of the three times.
Every single time I watch it.
All of them are awesome. I am not a guy who watches the TV show Girls. I hear he's brilliant on it. I loved him in Inside Llewyn Davis. I loved him in While We're Young, the Noah Baumbach movie I saw him in. You have championed him the way I championed Matthew McConaughey a couple years ago when he was coming in from
amazing.
Yeah,
the reconnaissance was an amazing thing that you predicted in ways I could not have fathomed.
I'm not going to say it's the single thing in my life that I'm most proud of, but I'm not going to say it's not either.
In the conversation,
but you have long championed Adam Driver, and I just haven't known him enough to really have an opinion. But just if all I had seen was this movie, it's this, and I'll say this, and I think we'll talk about this more when we do our episode on the original trilogy characters that show up in this movie. Like you, the second Harrison Ford stepped out onto that bridge, I knew he was going to die. I just knew it. I was like, oh, this is not going to end well for Han. But it was still riveting, and I actually think that the original trilogy characters do a lovely job. Their performances are lovely in this movie, and I didn't think that on first viewing, but Carrie Fisher's performance, Harrison Ford's performance, they're growing on me as I see it.
We need to talk about that.
Sure. But the reason that scene is riveting is not Harrison Ford. As beautiful as it is, what the work he does, the reason that scene works is because of Adam Driver, right? Because there's never a moment where he is unsure, even as his character is either unsure or wants Han to think he is unsure. It's unbelievably complex acting. It
is. I agree, and it makes you ask all those questions if you're willing to engage in the story.
Yep.
and Han Han's final act of putting his hand on his son's face is, I have watched the movie 4 times and I have cried 4 times. As a father, it is the most heartbreaking moment of, frankly, of all 7 episodes. It is, of all 7 movies. I'll even acknowledge episodes 1 and through 3 exist right now. I'm going to acknowledge they exist for a brief period of time.
Do I have
just to say that this moment is unquestionably for me the most heartbreaking moment in the whole series. It is devastating and beautiful.
Can I offer? I agree with you, and can I offer as the jerk who does not have kids, and so I on some level can't really speak to this. Can I offer a reason for me why I agree with you? Why I agree with you?
Yeah, you're not a jerk, but you're never a jerk for agreeing with me. So go ahead.
Fair enough. I think it is heartbreaking and beautiful because there's like, that gesture is all love.
It is.
It's all love, right?
It is.
Like, it is not, there is no disappointment. I mean, there's clearly pain in Han's face as he is falling to his death or about to, but like...
But it's like the last, you know what, in his final moment, all he wants to do is touch his son's face again.
Like, I love you. Like...
Which, by the way, my big beef with movies is that characters don't actually say "I love you."
Yep.
And I was like, damn it, Han, just tell the kid you love him. Like, just say the words, "Your mother and I love you." No, I mean when he's on the bridge. Listen, that's me. That's not me saying. Listen, I want to say this real clearly. That's not me saying they should have told the story differently. That's my desire when I see movies.
Sure.
I don't understand why characters don't actually say "I love you."
That's fair.
And it would have been a great moment for him to say "I love you" and for Kylo to say "I know."
Well, right.
That would have taken it to a whole. I mean, that could have been.
Well,
see, now
that would have been dark.
That would have been dark AF. That would have been really, really dark. And I'm glad they didn't do it. I think. See, that's an example for me of they followed a certain pattern and accepted a certain symbolism and a certain level of like I said, structural and thematic sort of consistency with the first movies, but they didn't go for cheap stuff. Yep. And here's a big difference for me, right? So in Empire Strikes Back, Han and Leia are kissing, and C-3PO comes in and interrupts.
Right.
And in this episode, Han and Leia see each other for the first time, and all of a sudden, in pops C-3PO. Hello, like it's me. You probably don't recognize me.
My arm.
That's great. It's great.
Yeah.
But if you think back to the episodes 1 through 3, the way that they tried to use C-3PO and R2-D2. And the way that he tried to all of a sudden make Chewbacca around and a member of the Senate and all that stuff, like he tried to do the same things in the first one, like using these certain characters in ways that just didn't work.
Yeah,
like it was really ugly the way that he tried to use those characters. Well, really, there's not a character that was in the first. There's not a character that was in the first 3 that emerged unscathed. It's sort of like The Simpsons. The Simpsons kept getting worse and worse and worse, and they just started to abuse like all these minor characters and ruin them. And it's just like, and that's, I feel very similarly. And so the idea of them understanding how to use these characters to follow, and yes, to follow a certain template. But I guess I would challenge anyone who thinks that this movie is spiritually shallow or rehashing to go back and watch with fresh eyes 4, 5, and 6. Never watch 1, 2, and 3 again if you can help it. But 4, 5, and 6, go back and watch them and tell me, are they really as deep as you think they are?
Yeah.
Because I think it's a cumulative effect.
Here's a question.
That 30 years of people talking about the Force, 35 years, almost 40 years of people talking about the Force. And now we have this sort of cumulative idea that it's this really deep mythology. And I love it. I love it. But I'm just not pretending that it's deeper than it is.
I I'm reminded of a science fiction short story that I once read where William Shakespeare is brought forward into today's world, and he takes a college course on Shakespeare, and he fails it because we've spent the last few centuries like reading literally everything into his stories.
Right.
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 Sometimes
a fish is just a fish, and a cigar is just a cigar.
That's
right.
So, tell me some of the places that you cried.
I love you for asking that question.
I know.
They're different each time. I've seen it 4 times.
Sure.
I cried at the Luke Skywalker reveal the first 3 times. I didn't cry the 4th time because I'm a bad person now. But the first 3 times I cried. When he turned around, I cried, and I just cried. Okay, first of all, let me be clear, Andy. I cried when the words Star Wars flashed on the screen.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It does something to me that I cannot describe.
Yeah.
And when I cry, my wife, she wonders who she married and why.
Sure.
She's not a very feminist lady, my wife. We were having a conversation about that earlier, but I think she wishes she'd married a less in touch with his feelings male. I do. I think she wishes she married more of a brute than she got. I don't know how she didn't see that coming, but oh well. So I do this thing when I'm crying where I go, like I breathe out like really heavy. And I did that at the beginning of the Star Wars thing splashes, and I just go, and big tears are coming down. Okay.
Yep.
So I cried. That was the first time I cried. The second time I cried was and I cry every single time on this one. It wasn't when Han and Chewie show up.
Mm-hmm.
When Finn says the name Luke Skywalker to Han, and Han's walking away, and he stops.
Yep.
I cry.
Yep.
And I will say it made me realize that I am so much more interested in Han and Luke's relationship than I am in Han and Leia's relationship. and going back and watching 4, 5, and 6, I mean, their romantic relationship is fine.
Yeah.
But the development of Han and Luke's bromance is really beautiful, and the fact that in the fact that they have sort of the 7th episode expression of that bromance is found in Poe and Finn is great with me. Mm-hmm. I love it so much, mm-hmm. So it actually Chewbacca is one of the more. I think this is the meatiest episode for Chewbacca, by the way.
Oh, no question.
I've never even thought about that till just now as I said it out loud. But you want to but when he talks about Luke and when he hears Luke's name and then he turns around and he's like, "Did you know him?" And he goes, "Yeah, I knew him." The way he says, "Yeah, I knew him," kills me every time.
Yes.
I cried the first time I saw Han and Leia see each other. I cried. Oh, Andy, I cried when Han died.
Yeah.
I cried a lot.
Yeah.
It was not good for me, and probably for the people all around me.
Yeah.
And then I cried at the end.
Yeah.
So those were all the times I cried. Did I miss any? My assumption is you cried all those times and more.
Yes.
So what did I miss?
Yes, I can't recall which times I cried at which things, although I have cried at each one of those moments at least once. I'll tell you some other times I cried, and they are, and I say this without judgment. They were because of an emotion that, while I know you felt it, you didn't list this emotion in the reasons that you cried. It was we have talked at length, or I have talked at length on this podcast about what I am looking for in a movie. And the phrase joie de vivre is of course very popular, and what I am looking for is joie de cinema, for lack of a better term. It's just what George C. Scott termed the joy of performance, which is what he was looking for when he watched other actors. And so when Rey gets the Millennium Falcon off the ground.
Oh, okay. Cool.
And she is like feeling her oats in the pursuit with the TIE fighters on Jakku. And they are working together, and when Poe and Finn are working together to get off the Star Destroyer.
Amazing
Both
stuff.
of those moments when it was just like,
you cried for that? I love you, man.
I did.
I love you. I love that.
When Poe leads, and I knew Poe wasn't there.
I cried. I got teary-eyed when Poe and Finn meet on the tarmac.
Yes.
And there's one other time I forgot to mention, and I'm not sure I cried at this. I didn't. You know what? I'll tell you. I did not. Okay. I'm such a guy in this way. I didn't. Okay. I want to say this. I was so overwhelmed by the movie happening to my face that I didn't understand what was happening, honestly, at least for the first 3 times.
Sure.
And what I mean by that is I think I didn't realize till the 3rd time out of 4 that Rey was the protagonist of this movie. That's...
Sure.
Which sounds ridiculous for a person who loves movies and talks about movies. I don't think it's because I'm a sexist, although I probably am a sexist. I think it's just because... Well, let me put it this way. I saw Phantom Menace 4 times in the theaters, and it took me the 4th time to realize that it was a bad movie.
Sure.
So I feel like it took me 4 times in this one to realize what about it was meaningful to me, other than the just base sort of emotional reality. Yep. Of like, Star Wars is happening to my face in a way that's not terrible. So I think it took me that long. So the 4th time was the first time I cried when the lightsaber ends up in Rey's hands. Like when she does when Kylo Ren's trying to do the little magic fingers for it, and it flies past his face and in her hands, and when it ends up in her hands this time around, I cried, and I didn't cry the first couple times.
I absolutely cried then, and it is for this reason. It really is. It's for that reason. I just like. I mean, John Williams could just pick a music cue, and I probably cried at it at least once sometime in this movie because John Williams does just such a wonderful job of bringing back the themes we love and deploying them in expected and unexpected ways, and the new music is wonderful. I'm such a fan, but when Poe, I knew Poe wasn't dead, but when he leads the X-wings across the water, approaching Maz Kanata's cantina or whatever it is, I just yes.
And you knew it was him, and it felt when you saw his face. When I saw his face. Because I was like, he can't be dead, he can't be dead, he can't be dead, he can't be dead. Please don't be dead, come on. And then it went from he can't be dead to please don't be dead.
Right.
Like, which is a slight but real thing.
Yeah.
Because as I mentioned in the last podcast, and people mistook what I meant, I think, but that's okay. I mean, Oscar Isaac as Poe Dameron is gloriously brilliant. Oscar Isaac is one of my favorite actors alive today. He needs to be in all the movies. This character, Poe Dameron, is lightning in a bottle.
Yep.
And anyways, so when they show him leading the way, first of all, X-wings across the water is the raddest thing that ever happened.
I love that song.
I mean, it is. It's a song worth hearing millions of times. It is. Yeah. It should go platinum. X-wings across water. But then when it shot to his face, I literally out loud in the theater. Everyone was clapping for Han Solo showing up. Actually, not enough people clapped in my movie theater. I went to a 9 a.m. the first showing. I went to a 9 a.m. Friday morning show, and everyone was my age or older, and they were reserved seats in special digital cinema picture. So it was like a bunch of people who were very like responsible.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna stop you here for a second to explain something to our viewers because I'm not actually sure we've discussed this in the podcast. Folks, what Phil is describing going Friday morning as opposed to like a Thursday midnight showing.
Yep.
This stems from our college days, or actually right after college, when the first Lord of the Rings movie came out. Phil and I were both living in Boston. We were discussing.
I go further back though, because I went to Phantom Menace midnight show. But go ahead, continue.
No, I know. Oh, right. we in college you do stupid things in college. You went to midnight movies and stuff like that. And the fact is, like, it's fun to go to a midnight movie if you can live the next day. It's
That's
fun.
right. Yeah.
But the yahoos are out in force. Like it's just like people talking, and this is even before cell phones in movie theaters was like an annoying thing. It was just it just wasn't a thing. Those little squares of light didn't sort of impact our lives seemingly as much as they do now in a movie theater. But you know, so Fellowship of the Ring was coming out, and Phil and I were making plans to see it, and we were like, yeah, so should we go, you know, Thursday night or whatever? And then we were like, no. We should go Friday morning.
Yep.
Right?
Oh, we did. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
We should go Friday morning because, like, you know, the real fans are going to be there. You know, the yahoos are going to be asleep.
Yep.
And I just think it's going to be a better experience. And let me tell you something. I've made a lot of good calls and a lot of bad calls. I'm not saying it was my call. It was our call.
Yeah.
That might have been the best call I've ever been a part of. That or the reconnaissance. One of the two.
It was way up there.
Yeah. But
Andy and I just want to say this out loud to remind you over and over again. Andy and I used to have a routine where Andy had a cell phone. I didn't even have a cell phone yet. And Andy would hand me his cell phone. They would tell you to turn the cell phones off in the theater, and Andy would turn his phone off and then hand his phone to me and say, "Can you confirm that this phone is off?"
Truth.
And I would press the buttons on the phone and then would say, "Your phone is off, it is confirmed," and hand it back to him, and he would put it in his pocket. We are the...
You're welcome, world. If we didn't exist, you'd have to invent us.
Also, if we were gay... I mean, God, first of all, we'd have been married for like 15 years already. Seriously, we'd have been married for like 15 years already. We'd be one of those couples who, when they legalized it, we'd have been like, we've been partners for so long, and now it's finally getting to have this moment. Like, that would have been us.
Or we would have been like, eh.
Right.
I mean, when I can get down there and do the paperwork, great.
Anyways, okay. So my point is that people cheered a little bit for Han Solo and Chewbacca walking in. People cheered a little when they saw Leia. People cheered.
The downside to the Friday morning show. It didn't.
They're not as crazy.
Yes, it didn't affect us for Fellowship of the Ring. That was a responsive audience.
I think Star Wars. Yeah.
But I have been to Friday morning, and so for all the really important movies in at least my life, even when I moved to New York and I wasn't seeing movies with Phil every weekend, the really important ones I wouldn't go on Thursday night. I would go Friday morning. And that is the one downside, that sometimes you will get a less responsive audience. I am sorry that happened for you.
Well, it's okay, because I screamed out loud when I saw Poe. When he came back. First time I saw it. I went, yes!
Nice.
So that was brilliant. I think what I want to say right now, and I don't want to hurt any feelings, is people need to know, we're going to do like 4 or 5 more episodes of Star Wars alone. Yeah. We're going to talk about other movies. We've got a Hateful Eight episode coming up. We're going to do a Gauntlet soon. We've got some things to do.
Yep.
We are getting ready for a new season of Project Melway. But in the meantime, considering the phenomenon and the brilliance that is Episode 7 and what it means for our generation and what it means for you and me personally, we're going to do an episode on Kylo Ren. We're going to do an episode on Rey. We're going to do an episode on Finn and Poe, the great bromance. We're going to do an episode on all the original characters together. That'll be one episode. Mm-hmm. And, by the way, if you were listening, we are going to do a mailbag episode where we just respond to questions.
Yes. Please email us at secondbreakfastpodcast.
But I think we do need to sort of wrap this one up.
Sure.
Just for people's sanity and for my own.
Sure. So secondbreakfastpodcast at gmail.com. That's where you should send your mailbag questions.
Thank you. And that's all one word. secondbreakfastpodcast secondbreakfastpodcast@gmail.com. No dots, no dashes, no spaces, just secondbreakfastpodcast@gmail.com.
It's been a while since I've spelled stuff, so I'll just assume you've done that right.
I assume that text correct will fix it in post.
There we go. There we go. So
Send
send us your questions and let us know what you thought of the movie, with spoilers this time, because you can go ahead. You can go ahead.
Yeah, there's so many more things I want to talk about. We need to talk about Rey. What do you want? Let's get people excited. Should our next episode be about Rey? Because we didn't talk about her enough this time around.
I think so. I think so. There's so much to talk about. We can talk about her on a macro level, like what she means from a feminist perspective.
Sure.
And also, if you take away all of like how important I think she is in film history, and I think she is actually important.
Yep.
She is a blast to watch.
Yep.
Just a blast to watch.
Agreed.
Fantastic. You know what's fun? I feel like we didn't say anything for like an hour, but I don't even care. I don't care.
Listen, if people don't, I mean, there's so many other things they can do with their lives.
Nothing
if
that's
they don't
much
like
fun,
it, this is what we do. Someone. So I want to tell you this. So I've been periscoping. You've heard of Periscope, right? We talked a little bit about it. As in my priest get up, as my priestly self, and just sort of being like a priest on Periscope who answers religious questions. And every once in a while I'll answer these questions, and people, well, pretty much every single time I do it, someone will be like, "This is crazy, you're a heretic, like you're saying things that are wrong, like I can't believe," and people will say like, some people will say like, someone will say like, "I can't believe you, this is like," and I'm always, my response is always like, well, in that case, here's what you can do. You can put down your phone and just talk to the people around you in a normal living way. So I guess what I want to say is, like, if people don't want to hear you and me be dumb and geeky for like 45 minutes, I mean, there's a life worth living out there, and all we are is beautiful distractions. Beautiful though we may be. Just put your phone down, because you're all listening to this on your phones. Put your phone down.
Right.
Or switch over to NPR or the next season
2.
Right, of course. Right.
Right.
Or if you're really lucky, Tinder, Netflix, and chill.
Right. Swipe right on somebody. See where that takes you.
Swipe right and update your Netflix. I mean, let's be honest. All right, man. I love you. This is fun. We'll talk soon.
Yeah, probably about Star Wars, but maybe about Hateful Eight.
Hateful Eight next. Star Wars Episode Rey. That's what'll be next. Those are the next 2 episodes.
Nice.
Please send in your mailbag questions so we can start to get those ready.
Star Wars-themed Mailbag. Just to be clear.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes,
Star Wars-themed Mailbag.
That.
Send in other questions as well if you would like, but we'll get to them maybe a little later.
That's what you want to do.
Yeah, right. If you want to think about.
If you want me to talk about
Star
those
Wars,
things
in
a year.
Are there other movies?
I don't care anymore.
With that'll bring us to the end of another Second Breakfast podcast. I like this whole thing where we continue to do podcasts and we don't take 6 months off. This is good.
I was like talking to a pitcher doing a no-hitter. I wasn't even going to bring it up, but yeah, it's good. It's good.
Bring it.
And that was the last show. And that was the last show they ever did.
Right. It's right. Breaking news: a meteor is ending all life on Earth next Thursday.
I wouldn't feel so bad if that was what it was. I'd feel less
fair.
like a failure. I would feel like much less of a failure.
That's a fair point. Folks, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I am Andy Roth for Phil Duvall. We are Second Breakfast, and we will see you again real soon. Bye-bye.
Bye now.
The most important meal of the day, second breakfast.